Tonight, I want to take you back to when you were a kid. I want you to think about a fun, memorable experience, maybe one that makes you feel nostalgic about being in school when you were young. For me, I was in 3rd grade. My teacher, Mrs. Borman, she was awesome. She popped us some popcorn. She rolled out one of those old school TV carts with like the cube TVs. And now one might think, hey, we're about to watch a science documentary, maybe a lesson in history, maybe even a good old classic Schoolhouse Rock, which would have been cool. Who doesn't love a Schoolhouse Rock? But we were there to watch something even better. We were there to watch the ACC tournament. Yes. That's right. I mean, if you grew up in the Triangle, you know what I'm talking about. Duke, UNC, NC State, it's the greatest basketball tournament of the year. And I was getting to watch it in the middle of a school day. I mean, I should be doing math, and I'm getting to watch basketball. So, this is not the 90s. I mean, this is the 90s. There's no curriculum connection or anything like that. Like, we're just watching basketball, having a good time, hoping UNC loses. So, 25 years later, and 10 years after being a teacher myself, I received a message from a former student. In it, she says, I was in your 5th grade class at Fox Road. I want to thank you for being a great teacher. You left an impact on my life. I'm pregnant with my first baby girl and in school for nursing. And then she said these words. She said, I'll never forget our Shibuya roll calls and your passion for watching Duke. I hope you still are that enthusiastic teacher. Now, I don't have time tonight to share about Shibuya roll calls. That's for another evening. But what I can say is I did continue Mrs. Borman's ACC tournament tradition in my own class. And yes, I am a Duke fan. And clearly, one of this student's fondest memories of her entire 5th grade year was a basketball game and seeing her teacher's passion for Duke. She clearly excelled in school, pursuing a college education, a degree in nursing. But what does she most remember? Not her EOG scores. She didn't say anything about her report card grades. No, she remembers a basketball game. What moment did you remember? You two probably remember something fun or celebratory or out of the ordinary, something where you were just happy to be in school. You see, I'm convinced these memorable moments, the ACC tournament type moments, I'm convinced these matter at least equally, if not more importantly, than the math, reading, and writing we're to teach our students. Let's reimagine what it could look like if we balance academics with this pursuit of creating fun, memorable experiences with our students. In doing so, I believe we'll help teachers fall back in love with teaching, remind them of why they started teaching in the first place, and we'll help students become more committed to being and staying in school and actually enjoying it. Unfortunately, the problem for a lot of teachers is we feel held hostage by a system that realistically doesn't always support and encourage this type of learning and growth outside of academics. Starting in 2011, there was a shift in the achievement focus for our students through the NC General Assembly's EPS Act. It was revised in 2013, requiring 80% achievement and 20% growth on a school level. So as teachers, we're required to have high-ranking standardized scores on our student test, have data that shows year-over-year growth, and adhere to a curriculum that follows a strict pacing guide with little room for flexibility. Now, none of those things are bad in themselves, and I'm okay with accountability. Certainly, we all benefit from some measure of accountability, but these requirements present a high level of stress and pressure for teachers and for students, which may account for the deficit of teachers in our system. I don't know if you've heard, but people aren't exactly knocking down the door right now to become teachers. And it makes sense because as teachers, we often feel the need to abandon our creative mindset and follow that set pacing guide. We feel the need to teach directly to a test instead of our individual students. And we do that because our reputation is certainly often tied to our students' achievement. If they do well on that test, I'm a great teacher, but if something happens for whatever reason and they don't do well, all of a sudden I'm not so good anymore. In turn, our students experience a scripted curriculum, monotonous day-to-day activities, sometimes forgettable learning experiences, And I would say most tragically, our students become numbers and not names with faces and personalities. What all this means is teachers are slowly losing a passion for teaching, and students are losing a chance to develop a love of just being in school. Now, I know all that sounds bad, but I promise you there's good news. And I believe that the good news lies in the power of memorable moments. If we can find a way to incorporate fun, memorable experiences for our students, we can interrupt the monotony of the day-to-day, and we can inject life back into our classrooms. I've seen this year after year in my own class. Priorities are reimagined, stress slowly fades, pressure gets taken down a notch, and students feel more freedom to just be themselves. Now, I know many of you may be asking, but Neil, what about academic success? Because of course that does matter, and I would say that's also where good news lies. I believe memorable moments encourage academic success. In fact, when done well, I would say memorable moments enhance academic success. These are Partnership Elementary School's last 5 years of science EOG scores in 5th grade. 2019 represents the year before I got there. 2020 was COVID. 2021 was that weird, like half virtual, half in person. But as you can see over the last 2 years, which matches up with our prioritizing these types of memorable moments I'm talking about, you can see an increase in our scores. Now, I want to be clear, there's a lot of things at play when we talk about EOG scores. This is not the end-all, be-all. But I can confidently say that prioritizing these types of moments and memories at Partnership is not hurting us academically. You would think that stepping away from the pacing guide, which we do sometimes, you would think that taking away some of that precious instructional time that we hold so dearly and replacing it with just fun things, which we do sometimes, you would think that that would hurt us academically, but I've seen the opposite. And what I think is happening is that when your students see you outside of academics doing fun things with them, they see you in a different way. They start to see you as more than a teacher. They start to build this fun relationship with you, and most importantly, they start to trust you. And when you have your students' trust, incredible things can happen academically. The second note that I'd like to share tonight of good news about memorable moments is that they create laughter, and laughter generates belonging. And our kids need a sense of belonging now more than ever. In their book, The Power of Moments, Chip and Dan Heath tell us, laughter is more about relationships than the humor. We laugh to tie the group together. Our laughter says, I'm with you and I'm part of your group. I was having a recent conversation with one of my 5th graders, and she said, Mr. McEwen, like this year in 5th grade, all the fun stuff we've done has just reminded me that school doesn't have to be a place that you just learn. It can be a place where we can be a family. I mean, isn't that what every teacher wants? Isn't that what every parent wants to send their kid to? A classroom that feels like a family, where they belong in that way. We want our students to associate school as a safe place to be enjoyed. And I believe laughter through memorable moments goes a long way in making that happen. And when it does, incredible things can happen. The benefits are huge. The last note that I want to share tonight of good news about memorable moments is they provide opportunities to teach life skills outside of math, reading, and writing. We get so hyper-focused sometimes on academics that we forget to equip our kids with skills that are equally important for their future success. Harvard University came out with a study that said 85% of career success depends on having well-developed people skills and other skills such as communication, problem solving, and more. And we're stressed over an EOG score? We need to be finding ways to teach intentionally these other skills that are going to matter for them. Of course, future employees are going to want people that are skilled and knowledgeable, but if they don't know how to communicate, problem solve, get along with others, businesses and productivity will definitely suffer. Now, I know a lot of what I'm saying tonight revolves around being a teacher and is speaking to other educators, and I'm coming from a classroom perspective. And certainly I believe that memorable moments are worthy of all teachers' investments, but I believe that memorable moments are worthy of all of our investment. Maybe you run a nonprofit. Maybe you work in healthcare. Maybe you're a project manager. Maybe you run a business. Maybe you're just a parent with kids. Can you take the uninspiring moments, the uninspiring meetings, the uninspiring day-to-day, and create these fun, memorable, out-of-the-ordinary experiences? If so, I believe you might see higher workplace retention, higher employee satisfaction, more productivity, and most importantly, just more positive relationships built on trust and unity and joy. I'm going to end tonight with a quick story from my 5th grade classroom. So I decided to be proactive and create one of these moments in my own class. And so I dressed up as an astronaut, our school mascot. I got up onto this table, 5th grade. I got up onto this table and I was going to fall back into my 5th grader's arms. I was doing a trust fall. We had this long conversation about trust. It was going to be magical, incredible. I was going to put it on Instagram. It was going to be awesome. And then this happened. So I can guarantee you that there was a lot of laughter in the room. It was not coming from me. Herniated disc and all, looking back on that, I'm so happy that that happened. And the reason why is because inevitably, like in life, when you do these things, something's going to go wrong. Challenges are going to come up. Adversity is going to come. And it's in those moments where the beauty lies. It's in those types of moments where relationships are built and strengthened. It's in those types of moments where you have conversations about life skills. It's in those types of moments where laughter is had. You see, I didn't get into teaching because I love math or reading or science. I'm okay with them. But I got into teaching because I wanted a platform to show kids that you will only go as far as your character will take you. And it is in those real-life moments where you get the best chance to do that. So I got back up on that table. I'm happy to say that I survived the second fall after a very serious discussion with them about what happened there. But I hope that they remember that. I hope that they take like a little piece of something from that moment. And then we'll do something else again in a couple weeks. And I hope they'll remember something from that. And then a month later, we do something else. And my hope is that they're starting to take these little moments and slowly piece them together and is starting to form the type of people that we want them to become. So I encourage you, whatever it may look like for you, step out of your ordinary day-to-day and find a way to do this. Maybe for you, it is getting on a table and doing a trust fall, if you're brave enough. Maybe for you, it's picking something totally random, like the World Cup in this picture, and you just decide, instead of doing something else that you should be doing, you watch it together in the middle of the day, just to experience the joy and power of community. Maybe for you, it's creating a fun scavenger hunt with all sorts of crazy tasks to practice problem solving, creative thinking, having fun together. Maybe for you, it is just creating an intentional moment of kindness to remind somebody that they are known and valued and loved. Heck, maybe it's just popping popcorn and watching March Madness together. Whatever it is, we never feel like we have time to slow down and do these things, but I promise you we can, and I promise you that it is worth it. Don't underestimate the power of memorable moments. A pretty famous author, this guy named Dr. Seuss, he once said, "You will never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory." Let's give the students in our classes and the people in our sphere of influence memorable moments that may impact them in ways we can't yet imagine. Thank you.